I'm Eva Wenham.
I'm Sam Silverman.
I'm Joshua Spielman.
I'm Colter.
And this is the Ludlow Massacre, a cry for reform.
Thank you.
From the New York Times, April 22nd, 1914. Terrified by the bullets which whistled through the blazing canvas above their heads, the woman and child, apparently more afraid of the lead and the flames, remained huddled in their pits until the smoke and heat carried death to them. A 7-year-old girl...
He's dead. He was killed in the massacre. Oh, God, what happened? They were protecting themselves and the tent caught fire. They suffocated beneath their own home. It wasn't fair. The National Guard took it too far.
Something has to be changed sooner.
Who knows? We could have a civil war on our hands.
The Ludlow Massacre was a revolution of workers' rights which sparked the reformation of laws and reactions from the American public.
Hi, dear. How was your day at work?
Frank took a blow to the leg. A loose rock fell.
Did they even have any support beams?
No, they don't even provide temperature control or our own tools. We do 20 times more work than the bosses and they pretend we don't exist.
Mother, when's dinner? I'm hungry.
Soon, dear. Did you bring home any eggs?
They raised the prices again. I can't afford it anymore. Sorry.
I've called you in to discuss some troubling matters. Colorado Fuel and Iron is the largest coal company in Colorado. We've been around since 1880, but even America's most powerful businessman, John D. Rockefeller, can't get enough profit out of us. Also, the miners have been spreading around rumors about forming a union.
What can we do about that, sir?
Just cut the pay and keep an eye out for issues related to the union.
Yes, sir.
Colorado's legacy as a coal mining state originated with the advent of the steam engine and railroads. In 1913, tensions were high as miners were beginning to feel the effects of poor working conditions and low wages. Colorado mines had almost doubled the national average of employee deaths per year. In addition, their wages were incredibly low and only in scrip, an illegal form of currency only valid at company institutions. Previous strikes all across the country had had a profound effect on both government and social standards, but in many ways workplaces still hadn't improved, especially in isolated locations such as the American West.
In 1913, miners began to react to the low pay and terrible treatment in mines. A meeting was arranged in Trinidad, Colorado, by the United Mine Workers of America to discuss the workers' grievances.
The cut on my arm just keeps getting worse. All infected by the acids and dirt. They haven't even offered me treatment.
I swear yesterday I got a full cart, but I got paid too little. I was told I got about half of what I thought I had.
Yesterday, my husband came home with his monthly pay. It's almost a third less than a few months ago. I don't know how we can afford to eat, let alone raise a child.
Men, women, it's clear to me now it's the right time to take a stand for your rights as human beings.
How can you help us? The company completely controls our lives.
We can plan a strike. This will show the company how strongly you feel and they'll be left with no good workers.
But wouldn't we lose our jobs?
That's a risk you'll just have to take.
The union began to prepare for a strike. They planned to provide tents and enough to keep striking miners provided with the necessary tools for a long, unpaid revolution for their rights. So are we all in agreement?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Here are our demands. We'll stand for nothing less.
This is preposterous. Recognition of the union, 10% higher wages.
And an 8-hour workday. I can't work sunrise to sunset. I have a family.
Payment for the dirty work we do other than mining.
Our own elected checkweightmen, so we know we aren't getting cheated.
Shopping at a store of your choice, choosing your own boarding house, choosing your own doctor. Impossible. You work for a company after all.
And finally, you need to observe and follow the Colorado labor laws.
90% of us are striking. You can't ignore us all.
Well, you can tell that 90% to get out of my town. And you all need to go. Immediately. You're fired.
After being fired, the miners began an exodus of company towns and into tent camps set up by the union. For the next 14 months, one of the largest and longest strikes stood strong despite desperate attempts to crush it.
On the 18th of November, the house of miner Dominic Poffello was destroyed by dynamite at Piedmont.
2 days later, on the evening of November 20th, occurred the assassination of worker George Belcher in the streets of Trinidad.
Even outside of tent camps, however, occasions of rioting and murder shook up the state of Colorado. However, the horrors inside these camps made these events look minuscule.
These miners just think they can do whatever they want and win. Well, I'll show them. We've got scab workers coming in by the hundred to take their places. And we've got detectives from Baldwin and Phelps coming in to break up the strike. They won't last a month.
They even brought in an armed car in which they nicknamed the Death Special. This would periodically open fire on the largest tent camp, Ludlow.
John D. Rockefeller then requested military aid in the camps. Governor Elias Ammons of Colorado granted that request by sending in troops from the Colorado National Guard. Although these troops were meant to keep violence to a minimum, they did just the opposite. If a riot were expected among the miners, the Guard would fire at the tents, killing a handful of people. A major example of this was in the Berwyn tent colony.
Eventually, however, the violence slowed down to the point where it was safe to withdraw all but companies A and B of the National Guard.
Killed in the massacre at Ludlow: John Bartolotti, age 45. Charlie Costa, age 31. Catalina Costa, age 27. Lucy Costa,
Alex
age 4.
Basilko. We walked out where we could see down towards Ludlow, so we could see the glare of the fire. Those flames swept those tents like confetti.
Oliva Pedregon, age
We
4.
went down the next day, and there was nothing but smoke and ruins, old coal stoves, bed springs, and wash tubs. It looked like a graveyard. John McLennan. They were trapped without a chance of escape. The bodies of 2 women and 11 children were found in one trench. God only knows how many more will be found. Cecil E. Roberts. The tragic lessons from Ludlow still echo throughout our nation, and they must never be forgotten by Americans who truly care about workplace fairness and equality.
For the most part, the battle was over by nightfall, with a death toll of about 19 and an incalculable amount of injuries. Among the dead were 13 women and children who sought refuge beneath a tent and suffocated to death when it caught fire. To add insult to injury, 408 arrests were made on surviving miners, 332 on murder charges.
Hello? Thomas? Have you picked up the paper today at all? 19 dead just yesterday, but possibly over 100 lives spent since the first day of striking. Yes, well, the miners did attack many mine guards, but the National Guard took it a step further by killing innocent women and children. The whole place went up in flames. Are you sure the guard is entirely at fault? I personally think the miners were just full of hot air. We'll dial again if you hear anything else. When news of the battle at Ludlow reached other tent camps, a full-fledged war began between the militia and the Union. The Union offered up weapons to anybody willing to fight for their cause. For 10 days, this war waged down the line from Walsenburg, Colorado to Trinidad.
The House Committee on Mines and Mining investigated the situation in reaction to the public outcry. The 1915 report, among numerous other reports, proved instrumental in the forming of labor laws.
Due to public protest, President Wilson passed the Clayton Antitrust Act, one of the first major laws in America to allow collective bargaining. This occurred only 3 months after the Battle at Ludlow. In addition, the Norris-LaGuardia Act of 1932, the National Industrial Recovery Act of 1933, and the National Labor Relations, or Wagner Act of 1935, all carry on the fight for the Union today.
Aside from reforming government, many more routine inspections began occurring in Colorado mines. Officials had been able to overlook the atrocities in the coal seams, but this stopped after the strike finished, due again to pressure from the public. In addition, John D. Rockefeller hired I.B. Lee, the founder of public relations, to help with his public image after the massacre. Lee helped run a series of public relations campaigns influencing how companies interacted with the populace and dubbing Ludlow, Colorado, the birthplace of public relations.
Labor laws have given me the right to a union, saving my family from inhumane working conditions.
The lost souls of Ludlow strikers sacrificed their lives to improve our country. Without them, today I could be dead, along with millions of other hardworking citizens.
Even so, in 2012, in China, I was hired at 14, which is illegal. I joined a union, even facing punishment of death after I was blacklisted for speaking out against my company.
Today we continue the battle which began over a century ago in developing countries as well as the United States, where lawmakers resist organized labor and collective bargaining. For example, the governor of Wisconsin is up for re-election because of his previous attempts to do away with organized labor.
The Ludlow Massacre was a revolution of workers' rights which sparked the reformation of laws and reactions from the American public.
The reactions from the American public led to a
Revolution that has totally reshaped the United States' economy, culture, and society. Today, workers' unions have changed millions of lives for the better. This was the Ludlow Massacre. Thank you.